Hello, everybody, and welcome to this thing that we're going to try. We're trying out Vampire the Masquerade. However, for the story I want to tell for this one, we're going to start with prologue stuff. So, we'll see how it goes. So, let me do the math here. So in 2002, this is for Olaf's character, I'm not sure. Okay, his name is Marcus.
Yep.
So, we'll do a run-through of an ordinary day for Marcus. What does Marcus do?
He's a teacher at the university. Just starting as a teacher there.
Okay.
It's pretty new to the teacher thing.
He's just getting started.
Yep.
So what does he do? Like, what's his morning routine?
Wake up, take a shower, brush your teeth, grab a cup of coffee, and go to work.
Alright. So, he's working at a university. So, to make this a little easier, we'll go with Dalhousie University. I'll get you the spelling for that. Just so that way I can more easily gather everybody together once the main meat of the campaign starts. Having everybody in an area nearby makes sense. There's the spelling.
Just get to the bottom here because I was on the top of the thing. Okay.
So what subject does he teach?
Science.
Okay. Alright. So he arrives at his science class on this particular day in 2002. What particular science does he pursue or teach at the moment? Whether or not he likes it.
Oh yeah, he's a nerd. He likes most stuff.
Okay, so
especially if it's teaching.
Yeah. So is he the kind of guy who would teach like astronomy or
like astronomy, like basic what's the word that I don't have it in English, I think.
Use Google Translate to translate as usual.
What's the word for that? Well, for now, it can just be astronomy, sure.
Okay.
He's a bit within everything in science. To say this day, yes, astronomy.
Okay, that's fine.
I mean, astrology.
Yes.
So space science and stars. Astronomy or that one.
Yeah. Astrology is the one where they think that the star formations have something to do with your birth.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they're very close. But either way. So he's getting ready to deliver his prepared lesson plan when he notices that one of his students, that because it's near the beginning of the year, so it's on the second half of the of your what's the
semester?
Yeah,
semester,
like
quarter?
semester syllabus or something like that. It's the second half of what you're supposed to teach. Okay. Anyway, so you've already gotten through half of the work. You notice that one of your star students is missing from class. This particular star student named let's just put a random name. Regina.
Regina?
Yep. She's never missed a class, and she appears like she's going to be late. All the other students are gathered around, and they're ready to proceed with the course. I'll give you a chance to do something if you wish before we move on to something else. So, like, if you want to inquire, if you want to do anything, you know this, that some of her friends...
What he would do, being that she is a star student, he would ask the students she hangs the most with, being her friends, if they've seen her or got any idea where she is, because she has never missed a class, ever.
Yep. So you go over to some of the more geeky students that sit in the front before class starts. There's the one who tends to be the most talkative. It seems like he's trying to impress you. He has big, thick glass bottle glasses. His name is Jonathan, we'll go with. And he's just sort of getting ready. He's getting his books out. He always raises his hand to answer questions, that sort of thing. He's that kind of kid. He's the one who's more likely to... He talks to everybody, even if they don't want to talk to him. So, he probably knows. If anybody.
Yeah. So he will head over to Jonathan.
Alright.
Just before class and ask, is there Regina lately? She never missed a class.
I don't know. She hasn't shown up for her door. And he adjusts his glasses.
That's very odd.
Yeah, last night she just didn't show up. I don't know what happened. We were supposed to study.
Doesn't sound like something she would do. Well, either she shows up or not. She said she doesn't show up, though, because... Yeah. Guess we'll start out there. If she shows up, she shows up. But if not, I'm getting a little worried.
Yeah, it'll be a black mark on her perfect record, too.
That too.
Well, then I guess I'll have to take the top spot. As he just crosses his arms and laughs, self-satisfied.
Yeah, Mark just smirks a little.
Yeah. So, we'll skip the class. You don't have to teach a
I don't know. Out of character, I don't know shit about astronomy.
That's fine.
Or astrology. So
if Matt was just a little bit of a different DM, oh boy, you would have been fucked.
What I would know, like, in real life, would be, like, technology and stuff. I know some basic science, but...
Yeah. So, you go through today's lesson plan, and she doesn't show up.
I guess after the classes left, he would note her non-arriving this day on her perfect record. Kind of sad doing it.
Yep. So she gets knocked out of her top spot, and Jonathan inevitably sneaks past. She was the last obstacle from him being top of the class.
He was second best. It was second fiddle.
Yeah. The only reason is because he was getting slightly less percentages on his test scores. But now that she missed a class, gone. So, you start to head back to, after teaching this particular class, is your break. So you head back to the teacher's lounge, and there's some vending machines here. There's even one of those weird, it's a vending machine that has canisters of coffee, and when you ask for it to be vended, you get like one of those 1 cup sized cups, and you put it underneath the thing, and it vends the entire thing for you. You can even customize it with different options. It's a new thing for 2002. I spent quite a bit of money on getting this.
Yeah, he just goes straight black coffee. He's simple as that.
Alright. You get your vended coffee, and you go down to... There's 3 tables in this staff area. So you go and sit down. You sort of just are glancing at some of your newly received assignments to determine how you might grade these particular assignments. When you notice some of the other teachers are in the room that Regina would normally have class with earlier in the day. And you hear them talking with each other. One of them goes, "You know that star kid?" The other one goes, "Well, yeah, what about her?" "She didn't show up today." She didn't show up to my class either. Odd. And they just sort of, after that, they just go on about how they had to mark her down as absent, and other students in their class have inevitably taken up the mantle of top student.
Yeah, he kind of shakes his head, a bit disappointed in her.
Alright. So you sort of brush those aside, those assignments, and enjoy the rest of your break, just sort of lounging. Then, at the end of your break, you're about to head back to your class, and you see someone that you've never seen before. Let me see. Let me have a look at some of your stats here that you're inevitably going to get. Yeah. Even at a percentage of what the skills are, yeah, you would notice this guy. This particular guy is slightly suspicious. Not for the first couple reasons I'm going to give you, but for this final reason that I'm going to give you. So he's wearing a black hoodie and blue jeans. He has a size 13 sneaker, maybe bigger. You're not sure.
Big.
And he's wearing like basketball shoes. And he's just sort of leaning against the wall. But the more suspicious part is that his arms, like when he's standing straight, his hands could potentially wrap around the bottom of his feet just standing up straight. His arms are that long. And he has a hoodie that actually covers them entirely. Almost as if it was custom made. It draws your attention for a second, and you glance over and you're confused for a second because he's not one of the students. And as he sees you looking at him, he sort of just darts down a different hallway and vanishes from sight.
Odd.
And you walk towards the hallway where he was, and you look down, he's nowhere to be seen.
Wait, just someone ran down there. What?
Yeah, he just sort of like, obviously and very suspiciously, like, darted behind a corner as you looked at him, and then you were like, huh? And you walked over and you went around the corner? Nowhere.
Well, that's not usual here, but Shit, I almost missed my class.
Yeah, you got like 5 minutes until you're supposed to be there. So you hurry off to your class. So we'll skip to you do another 2 classes. You have a break in between each one. And so you had 3 classes today, and you just sort of are walking off the campus. It's late afternoon, still a little bit of sunlight out. You're walking down the middle of the what's the word?
Parking
the
lot?
campus. That would be the word I was looking for. And you're just about to head to your vehicle when you notice you see that same dude. He's looking at you through one of the windows of one of the higher level parts of the university building, the main university building, and he's just sort of looking down at you as you're getting into your vehicle.
I just look over at him. I'm like, well, I guess I can't do anything about that.
Well, you see him. You can attempt to do something.
He's like in the building, right?
Yeah, he's still inside the building. You're in the parking lot outside. He's on like the 3rd floor of the building.
As it takes the keys out for his car, he actually puts them back in and actually goes up to check on the guy.
Okay. So you begin walking towards the building. He just is like staring at you. He's got a ratty, dirty face because you can see under his hood from this vantage point. Very unkempt. He's got like a beard growing. And his eyes are slightly piercing. And it seems like he's staring daggers at you as if he's angry about something as you're approaching the building.
He's been there a few times, so he knows roughly where that classroom is, or room at least?
You have a rough guesstimate. You would have to climb 2 staircases, like one to go to the one floor, and then the next one to go to the next floor. And then you would be relatively near to the door where he was.
Is the door locked or is it open?
Alright, you go straight to the room. Perfect.
Yeah.
Yes, the door is locked.
Is that classroom or is it like a storage room or?
This particular room is a it's kind of like a science type room. It has like beakers and it has like the Bunsen burners and stuff. You've been interested and gone there a few times, but since your actual teaching duties bring you to a different section of the sciences, you haven't had a chance to actually teach anybody in there yet.
Would have the key?
you know that the key to this door would be in the janitor's room, unless the janitor is actually present, which then it would be in the janitor's possession.
I'll look for the janitor.
Alright, you start glancing around. You don't see anyone in this hallway. In fact, there are supposed to be classes happening right now in this particular area. You don't even hear like a professor talking in a different room. All the doors are closed.
Okay, this is extremely odd.
Although you do see a couple late students that are late for their classes climbing the stairs behind you. But you don't see the janitor. If you want to find the janitor's room, you don't have an exact memory of where it was, because you didn't really have any reason to pay attention to it. But you know that there's probably one on each floor.
No, look for the janitor room at this floor, I guess.
Alright. Those students that you noticed walk up the stairs, they walk to a different room than the one that you were trying to get into. But they walk towards that room, notice that the door is locked, and seem confused and start knocking on the door. But you're looking for the janitor's room. So you find it, inevitably. It does say, like, janitor's closet with a big plaque on it. So you go over there, the door's open.
I kind of knock on it first, see if anyone responds.
Nobody responds.
I open it.
Alright, you gently open it. There's nobody in this room. There's various janitorial supplies, cleaning, detergents, that sort of thing. Mop bucket, all that sort of stuff. There is an obvious key ring to your left. However, it has no keys on it.
Yes, the janitor has the keys if that's the case, but where would he be at this time? She.
Janitor of unknown gender or orientation.
Oh, he hasn't been only working for like, I said 2 years. He had been working at the university for like 2 years.
Yeah,
it's pretty new.
You've been hoping to get like a chemistry job in this particular section, but so far the positions haven't opened up. In fact, your particular character doesn't even have tenure. You're trying to work towards it, but either way. So you're still in the janitor's room.
If I don't see other key or janitor, I'll just close the room back off and check if the kids have gone into the room yet.
Those particular kids are still standing in front of that door, but the door opens and the kids enter.
I kind of slightly rush up to stop the door before it locks again.
Okay, I'll get you to roll 2d10.
2d10?
Yeah, just because you don't have all your stats yet.
7. 4 and 3, I don't know.
So it's determinant on your successes, which you have to get. You have to get over 5 for a success.
Oh, no success.
Okay, so you rush over, but you feel something stop you, and the room gets slightly cold, and then the door closes before you can get there. Like, it threw off your concentration and your ability to walk further. You had to stop for a second. It was almost uncontrollable. And the door just behind them.
Well, I guess it's none of my business then, and he'll head back to school.
Alright. Are you going to try to get that science store open, or are you going to try to find a janitor, or are you leaving? What are you doing?
He will go look for a janitor on the floor beneath.
Okay. You walk down to the floor below. You do see a janitor who appears to be starting to clean this particular area. And as you approach, I'm going to roll some dice.
Dice roll.
Okay, so this one is turning out in your favor. Because I just got 7 successes. Okay, so here's what happens. You walk towards this janitor and you see that they have like one of those big metal key rings, and it's like 50% full of it's 50% full of keys.
Is it a man or a woman?
This particular person is a man.
Excuse me, sir. A science room in the other floor was locked and there was no class there. I didn't hear anyone, but some kids got in. I don't know if you have a missed block.
Well, I was told not to go up there because classes were being held.
Well, I didn't hear anything. Thought it was quite odd myself.
Just give me a moment. And he just sort of puts his mop to the side in the mop bucket. And he starts fiddling around with this gigantic key ring as he starts absentmindedly going up the stairs. Seems as though you've convinced him to at least moderately care enough to check on it. Since you're part of the faculty, because you probably still have like your name badge and stuff.
Yeah.
So he knows that you're part of the faculty, and he just is like, well, if there's supposed to be teachers there and they're not, something's going on. So,
and some kids got in and it was no noise.
Yeah. So he walks up the stairs. He's got the key ring in his hand. He's flipping through some of the keys. He's like... He's just sort of like talking to himself. So he gets to the top of the staircase. And he begins walking over to the set of key, the door where the set of keys would be useful. Takes out the first one. He goes, it's probably this one. And he inserts it in the door. Luckily, from your good roll last time, he does have the right key. Because if I rolled too crappily, he might have had the wrong key and go like, oh, where did I put that? And
or if it's a big-ass key ring, it's not that easy to find a key, so it was a big-ass key ring. So.
Yeah. So he inserts the thing, and he opens the door, and he looks inside. Seems that the room's empty.
Just saw some kids enter 5 minutes ago. Just saw some kids enter like 5 minutes ago.
He walks into the room. Actually, this is the room where you saw the black hooded guy, not the room where they went in. If you wanted him to unlock that door, I can switch that, because he also has that key.
No, I would check the guy with the hoodie first.
Okay. So he checked that room first. Because I rolled super high, so he also has the key to the other door. So if you do need that other door opened at some point, and he's not like instantly killed or something, then then he'll be able to open that door too. Yeah, I rolled so high, he just has like 90% of all keys for this building right now.
Well, you rolled 10 dice and got 7 successes, so
yeah. I would have had to have gotten a little bit higher for him to have every key for this building. But, yeah, he has pretty much all the keys that you would probably need. Anyway, so he walks into the room. And he goes, hello? Isn't there a class supposed to be going on?
What's supposed to be? And I saw a teenager here like 15, 20 minutes ago.
He looks at... He starts examining the room. You can also examine the room.
Sure. Because
I will say that your main stats are pretty much the same. So, yeah, you can use your intelligence for this. So you can roll 3 dice.
Yeah, and Geo added the command thing, so actually you see how many successes. But that didn't work, it seemed.
You got 1.
But it's a 1.
Yeah, he was trying to figure out the macro to try to get it to say successes.
Oh. Well, probably similar to the Shadowrun one.
Well, either way, that one isn't working. So, Geo, if you want to try to fix it. You can try to do that.
Let's go, gold.
Yeah, it just rolls a normal 3d10.
Yeah, it just rolls 3d10. It doesn't determine successes.
Huh. The code should do that. Let me try on something.
So in the background, you can try to experiment with that. You start looking around the room. You notice a
there's no spaces.
I'm trying it, so just focus on the game while I'm trying the background, so don't distract.
Yeah. So no, it's still not doing it right. Anyway,
as I said, I'm focusing.
I'm just saying. I just saw another result, so I was just like, yeah, that's not right. So you notice a sheet of paper just sort of laying next to one of the chemistry sets.
Okay, I'll pick it up.
All right, you pick up the piece of paper. You examine the piece of paper. It has this dark brown ink on it, perhaps. And you examine it. And it has, those stereotypical page renderings of, like, Necronomicon stuff that have, like, these super complex diagrams on them. It looks kind of like that.
Okay, that's both terrifying and interesting.
I'll get you to roll 3 dice again.
Do it the old school way and just see what I get. Damn, that's 2.
Alright. You bring this page close to your nose. This is definitely dried blood that this is written in, not just ink.
It works.
There it worked. So that's command?
Yeah, the first thing that I hold up, that's the command. So just replace the 1 with the amount you want, and so on and so on.
Okay.
So now it counts to 5 and higher, or should it be a different number it should be counting from as successes?
It should be 5 and higher, I think.
Okay, then the command that is set up is correct.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So yeah, this page is written in dried blood. For sure.
Okay, as he figured that out, he will actually kind of rub his glasses, because he has glasses. It's easy to pick on roll one, that's how he looks. So just take them off and just, am I seeing this wrong? He sees completely fine without the glasses too, but...
And it seems as though there are directions written on this thing to do something, but you're not sure what, because the words are written in a language you don't understand.
Is Janner still walking around?
Actually, you were distracted for a minute by that page. So I'm just gonna roll some dice. I'm actually gonna try to copy that macro, see if it'll work for me.
Should work.
Whoops, it didn't work. Because I copied the wrong part.
I forgot the slash in front as well. I forgot the slash in the front as well.
Let's see if this will work. Alright. Yeah, he's still walking around.
Well, who I saw her seems not to be here anymore. I don't know how it got out without me noticing it. Did you see a black clothed teenager walking around here earlier?
He goes,
Kind of oddly long arms.
Had what, sorry?
Oddly long arms.
Not that I noticed, no.
He kind of pocketed the thing out of the janitor's side to the sheet.
Okay. So you can add to your current inventory. I don't know where the inventory
It is an inventory thing. So I'll just add notes.
Yeah, just add mysterious page.
Yep.
Alright, it is at this time that a forced story event is going to slightly happen. You see, standing in the doorway, although, before I say this, you notice that the sun completely dips behind the horizon, so that way there is no direct sunlight in the area. And you turn around towards the doorway, and you see your missing student standing in the doorway for a second. She's completely pale.
Regina?
Yep. Completely pale. Like ghost white. And she's just sort of looking at you.
You start walking calmly towards her.
Alright, you start moving towards her. You see a familiar arm reach out towards her and pull her out of the doorway. Black clothed arm. Super long. Because it reaches from... She's standing in the middle of the doorway. It reaches from the side of the doorway all the way to her other side. And grabs her and pulls her from the doorway.
Okay, he starts speeding up a little.
Alright, do you run out into the hall?
Yeah.
Alright. Let's see what happens.
You kind of shout Regina, see if he gets any response.
Okay. Alright, you're getting lucky. Because you're getting over half the successes each time. Okay. You hear a... And you hear, "Shut up!" from around the corner.
I go towards it.
Alright, you go around the corner, you don't see anybody.
No. This person was like, what the f... just...
And you hear... coming from a place that you can't see. And you hear, "Shut up!" But it's definitely in front of you.
I'll walk that towards it.
You hear, "Fine." And you feel something connect with the back of your head. And you go unconscious. You were too curious in that one particular moment. If you would have walked away, I would have let you go for a little while longer. Okay, so you awaken in the classroom where those 3 kids went. The kids from the 4 or 5 classes that were supposed to be taking place on this floor, all of them are sort of like tied and bound on the floor. You are now tied and bound on the floor as well. And you're in one of the classrooms.
Anyone around me, or just the ones I'm tied with?
There's like 40 kids in this room.
Okay, what just happened?
You don't see any of the teachers either.
I was tied, you said?
Yeah, your hands are bound. And your legs are bound.
Okay. Can I try to get out of it?
You can struggle against them, but since your vampire form has the lowest amount of strength possible, your human form has even less. So you can't roll any dice.
He's a fairly skinny dude. He doesn't look super buff.
Yeah, so you can struggle against them, but it's no use. You're not strong enough. It appears that they're using some sort of plastic as restraints.
And if the kid's conscious?
Some of them are, some of them aren't.
Ask one of them. I don't know if any of them are from my class or what. Probably not.
Some of them you don't recognize, some of them you do.
I'll ask one of them I do and ask, did you see what happened or did it just black out during writing or something?
Alright. You hear Jonathan, the bottle-glassed guy. You didn't notice him before, but he's apparently sitting in one of the corners of the room. And he says, "We're all gonna die."
But Olga died. Why?
And you can see that as he lifts his face up, his face is covered in sweat. And he's just sort of glancing at something that's not within your eyesight.
Kind of crooks one of eye and be like, okay, now I'm getting worried.
And some of the other people who are conscious also look in his direction, and they start to look slightly more panicked.
I was the only teacher, right?
In this room, yes. Seems like they had a plan and you weren't part of it.
Seeing that Jonathan looks at something that I don't see, I'll just say straight up.
It's because you're looking at him, and it's behind where you're looking at him.
Then I'll turn, if I can.
Alright, you turn around. You see a man dressed in extravagant red robes. His head is purple. His skin is purple, so he's wearing robes to cover the rest of his skin, but his head is purple, and it has spikes ejecting from his cheeks, spikes ejecting from where his temples would be, and spikes ejecting from the top of his head. 6 spikes in total. He's smiling at you, and his mouth is full of these sharp fangs. Not just the stereotypical canine teeth fangs. All his teeth are sharp, as if they were sharpened like old barbarian warrior trying to intimidate somebody. As he's smiling at you, they fit perfectly together in these jagged, triangular formation in his mouth. As he's smiling at you.
You just look up to the guy, and with his... I don't know if that's flavored how it reacts to it, but he has a 3 courage after vampire.
Mm-hmm.
So he would probably not be terrified of it.
Yeah, you're not inherently terrified, but you're realizing that this is a thing that... And it doesn't look like he has prosthetics or anything on, like makeup. It looks like it's his actual skin just sort of stretched, and these spikes are ejecting from them.
And who might you be? Just says the person.
I am your new master.
New master? What, you headmaster or something?
You are naive.
Well, I was just knocked unconscious and woke up tied up, so... wouldn't many people be naive at that?
Good point. And he motions. The girl who went missing enters the room. She's still pale. She seems to be struggling against the dude who's in the black hoodie with the extremely long arms, but his arms are so long that they like wrap around her and halfway around his body. So he's just sort of like holding her in this unescapable grasp as his arms are like hugging himself with her in it. Because his arms are so long. And he just sort of is holding her as he walks into the room. A couple other guys who look relatively normal compared to the other two walk into the room. One of them is like dressed up in like, he looks like a 50s greaser. He even has his hair slicked back. You see another 3 dudes who look exactly the same, with the same faces. But you see the greaser dude is standing next to him. And the 3 dudes that look exactly the same, they're walking kind of robotically, and they have, like, army fatigues on.
Okay, what's going on?
You will join our little army.
A little army.
We didn't expect to have someone of your caliber with us, so we're willing to give you a chance. The greaser guy walks forward, and he just sort of grabs your bound arms by the restraints, and he starts pulling you out of the room.
Okay.
Do you allow this?
At this point, yes.
Okay. He pulls you out of the room, down the hallway, and you see, laying in the middle of the room, or the hallway, the janitor that you asked to help you. He has 2 very obvious large holes on the side of his neck, and some of his blood is not much compared to the size of the wounds, is dripping out onto the floor beside him. And he pulls you into the chemistry room.
Okay.
And he closes the door. And he says, "You are only insolent because, well, you don't know what's going on."
That is true.
He kneels down in front of you. He sort of like crouches in this sort of manner that is indicative of like a greaser just sort of crouching over somebody he just beat up. And he just sort of looks at you. He even has one of those stereotypical like cigarette cartons wrapped up in his sleeve, like some greasers have. He takes out one of the cigarettes and he puts it in his mouth. He takes out a lighter. He lights it, puts it back in his pocket. He sucks it in. He breathes it out. "You're gonna get a much better deal than those lot are. As long as you cooperate." He taps the ashes onto your shoulder. He doesn't care that your nice clothes are getting slightly singed by his ashes.
Well, what is it, that thing then, or will just everyone die in there now? Because I wouldn't like that to happen.
They're not gonna die now.
Okay.
But if they're not talented, they'll die later.
Well, some of them are a bit sharper knives in the shed than the others. Some are just some bullies that are just somehow got into university.
Yes, they're teenagers. But the thing we're looking for is instinct.
Instinct.
But with you, you're a bit older. You look like you know your way around a thing or two.
Well, I've done my studies. I would say I know a fair amount. I'm not a genius.
He puts the cigarette down on one of the desks, slightly singes the top of the desk nearby, and he takes out a book, and he puts it in front of you, and he opens one of the opens to one of the pages, which appears to be ripped out. Looks similar to a rip that you saw on the side of your mysterious page. I'll let you study this book that page belongs to, and many others. As long as you obey our laws. Don't worry, I'll teach you.
That seems fair to me. But I have a page, but I can't reach it.
Yeah, that's fine. He goes, I have a feeling you know where this one is. As he points to the rip in the middle of the binding of the book.
Yeah, I have it in my pocket, but I can't pick it out because I'm kind of tied.
You are quite honest.
Well, I don't see any harm lying in your face at this moment, so...
That's a good sign.
When you have me tied up and have like 40 other teenagers tied up as well.
Oh, don't worry about that.
Not that I care too much, and... Yeah, he's kind of sadistic.
A little bit, at least in this moment.
Mm-hmm.
He sucks on the cigarette.
Care of some of them, but some of them are just... what's the word? Bootlickers?
He grabs the cigarette and starts smoking again. It will allow you to do things like this. And he waves his hand in front of you. And you can see that this particular room is covered in some sort of blue glowing rune type scrawlings all over it, as he just sort of waved his hand in front of you.
Okay.
So
What's
you
this?
see that.
So what is this? I have not seen this before.
Our kind usually does a good job of hiding themselves. Though
Those
we'll have
being
to
who?
speak with our companion about his failings. He is bringing, hopefully, a useful member to our society. As he taps his cigarette against your shoulder again. He has now clearly burnt a hole through one of your best shirts.
It's kind of like he's annoyed in the inside, but he doesn't react because this guy can probably kill him.
Yeah, probably. He puts the cigarette down again, and he goes, "These runes prevent a mortal from entering the room unless if we wish for them."
Mortal, what are you, like?
You'll learn. You'll learn. He sort of just taps an earpiece that he has. It appears to be connected to an old school walkie-talkie that they've jerry-rigged to be connected to this earpiece. And he says, "So do I have the go-ahead?" You hear the voice of that other guy. "Yes. Just be quick. We don't have forever. Someone may get suspicious, like that one." And he goes, "All right, boss." He crouches down next to you. "So are you ready to become one of us?"
Well, I see no harm in it. Seems like an interesting bunch.
"You may see the harm later.
Might be.
But of course, you don't have much choice in this. Just thought
That
I'd
is
be
also
blunt.
true, so I'm just agreeing with you at this point.
Don't worry.
I'm that smart to
Once you
know
learn
don't to
the
mess with
ropes.
someone that can literally kill me.
He goes, once you learn the ropes, you'll have a bit more freedom.
Fair
And he
enough.
very quickly doesn't even let you respond, and he just chomps on your neck. You feel this feeling of complete and utter bliss for a moment, and then everything falls to black. Then you awaken. Your restraints are undone, because that's the first thing that you check as soon as you awake. You don't even see what you're seeing. You don't even register that. Your hands and arms are free. You, throw them in the opposite directions of where they were tied immediately, just to make sure. And you sit up straight. You realize you're in some sort of underground area. The walls aren't even covered in a formalized concrete wall or anything of that nature. It's just dug out dirt that is held up by pillars. And you're laying on a cot in the middle of the room. The greaser guy, he's just sort of sitting on a chair on the opposite end of the room. You realize that you have sensory abilities that you didn't have before. So you now have all your abilities.
Okay, I feel way better for some reason.
Yeah, you feel, although you sort of as you're checking to see if you're healthy, get you to roll a medicine.
Okay, I think it's a dice thing for actually rolling skills. So, and she combat dice pool, custom dice pool. No. Medicine just 2 dice, right? Because I have that.
Your medicine, actually,
Is 2. Is it plus my intelligence or something?
I'm not entirely sure which ones govern which ones. I just know that perception, intelligence, and wits overrule the knowledges. I'm just not sure which one.
Yes, I would assume it's intelligence or wits for medicine, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, you get to add your stat to it.
So it's 5 dice anyway.
Yeah, because it's not
for 4 successes.
All right. You start examining yourself. You realize your heart isn't beating, nor do you feel the need to breathe. Your automated breathing is just sort of turned off. But when you want to speak, it seems like your lungs fill with enough air for you to be able to say what you want to say, and then it pushes it out immediately and then does nothing else.
Okay, this is both confusing and interesting.
He goes, "Welcome to the world of vampirdom."
Wait, what?
And he goes,
he's a man of knowledge. He doesn't believe that much in vampires.
Mm-hmm. He goes, "Vampires exist, dude."
Wow. That's a mind blow.
Yeah. So you're probably feeling a little hungry. He points to the corner, and you now notice that there is a woman just sort of standing there. Her eye sockets are empty, her ears are ripped off, and her mouth isn't sewn closed. This particular woman's mouth is just sort of closed, and it seems like she's trying to open it, but she can't.
That's... As he kind of crooks his head, he actually seems satisfied seeing that. Because his personality completely changed.
He goes, "There's some food in the corner. So, if you're not hungry," he motions towards the door, "we can do some trading."
That seems fair. I'm a little bit hungry.
Yeah, you definitely feel some hunger creeping up in your throat. You also have this feeling of just a bestial nature that you just want to grab onto this woman's neck that's sitting in the corner and just bite down until she stops moving.
Then I'll do that.
Okay. You walk over to the corner, you bite down, and you drink. And I'll say for now that you just have a decent amount of points. The human's 10, right?
Mm-hmm.
If I remember correctly. So you have... This is just a temporary amount. Because technically when we start the campaign, you're going to have your starting amount.
If it's 10, I'll just add 3 extra.
Okay.
Because I had
so
7
just make sure you remember how much blood pool you have when we start the thing.
I had 7 before.
Okay.
Like, when I rolled for that, I rolled a 7.
Yeah. So just keep that in mind.
If I have 10 now, I'll just say I have 10 in my blood pool.
Yeah. So, however, your sire, your mentor dude, he sort of pulls you back before you kill her.
That's
and
right.
He goes...
I'm not resisting.
He goes, you should be careful. We can use this one again later. And he sort of pulls you back. She seems weak and she's fallen onto the floor. He grabs her by the shoulder, lifts her up, and he says, open. And her mouth opens. And then he starts putting little bits of food into her mouth, and he says, chew. And then she starts chewing. And then he says, swallow. And then she swallows. He goes, good. Now rest. And then she sort of just falls asleep in the corner. And he stands up. He turns to you.
Mm-hmm.
You have similar abilities now. We can teach you how to use them. We have some other subjects in another room that you can try your abilities on.
Well, teaching is always good. To know what the hell I'm doing in this new life, death, what'd you call it?
We call it death, but yeah.
Fair.
So you have died. Your morning routine probably isn't going to be useful anymore. Either way, he opens the door, and it's like this metal door that is attached to a metal wall that's just on the other side of this room. So you walk out into this metal hallway, and he says, follow me. And he leads you down this metal hallway, opens a door, and you walk inside. You see that Jonathan is in this room. He hasn't been... You notice that he does have a heartbeat. You can even sense it from here.
Because what the aspects do is giving you heightened senses at level 1, so...
Yeah.
Like, everything is enhanced. Hearing, vision, everything.
Yep, everything.
That metal door with a metal wall, with a metal hallway, was pretty metal.
Very metal.
So you walk into this room. It looks like a stereotypical firing range. But except Jonathan is on the other side of the
Range.
firing range. There's a place for you to test out guns if you so wished. You can test out more bladed weapons. They also have blunt weapons if you so chose. Like a baseball bat. They have like a knife, a dagger, and a sword. They have like a steel pipe. They have a handgun.
I got no weapon skills whatsoever.
Yeah. So they have all those things laid out nearby.
Might get melee later, but
That's fine.
need to increase my physical abilities for that.
So you see Jonathan is curled up on the other side. He seems to have been crying.
Okay.
And he goes, "You have some abilities. You just simply have to try and use them. Here." And he motions to the Jonathan laying on a heap in the on the middle of the floor.
Okay. I don't know how to use them.
Yeah, so he just says try. So all you have to do is, if you're trying to use one of your disciplines...
I want to try dominating.
Okay.
Because I have a slight of a flavor when I'm dominating people. I'll just take off my glasses and stare into their eyes.
Mm-hmm. So you have to get him to look at you. Which he is currently not.
Jonathan, look at me.
He turns his eyes towards you, and he says, Professor. And you can attempt to do the thing.
Okay. I dominate him to... Is that one-word command, right?
Yeah, the ability that you currently have is called command, and it's similar to command in D&D. You get one word.
What she'll do? Because it went from the kind professor to a straight-up sadist that literally lives to control people.
Mm-hmm.
Well, be a
So
saint.
he'll say... Beg.
And he just looks at you. You can
As I
tell...
stare into his eyes, a small flash comes from it.
Okay. So I'm
My
pretty sure
piercing blue eyes.
your abilities use blood points. So we may as well look into that now. See how many blood points these things use. I think you have to roll a dominate, is how it works.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not entirely sure.
I think it was the thing where I don't know. Powers. Dominate. Monsieur, the Emperor locks out, you must be obeyed, so the order must be clear and straight for run, agree, fall, blah, blah, blah.
Okay, the player rolls manipulation plus intimidation.
Okay, manipulation, intimidation, that's...
Difficulty
Listen.
equals the target's current willpower points. So, that would be Jonathan's willpower points. That's for me.
Okay, so I roll 3 dice. Because I have 1 intimidation, 2 manipulation. That's 1 success.
Okay. And it says, more successes force the subject to act with greater vigor or for a longer duration. So if you succeed more than what he has, then it works better. Continuing for a number of turns. Go off on a laughing... Oh, that's like the type of thing that they do. Remember, too, that being commanded to against one's nature confounds the use of this power. Being told to sleep in a dangerous situation or attack in police custody may not have the desired effect. So in other words, this one is one of the weaker ones, so...
It's just level 1, so it doesn't like... I can mind control, go kill yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. That's for some of your bigger powers. So, you roll that, and I'll say that since it's a 1 power, that's how many blood points it uses for now, unless if we find a different rule later.
It was a thing for blood points. I think it was a thing that saw how many I had, Kurt.
But I'm not sure if that's how it actually works.
Neither am I. Background. Primary. I think I saw something earlier that was blood points. Like, yeah, the blood pool, but that's something else.
Actually, let me. Character blood pool dictates. Yeah, that's fine. That's not helpful. Trait rating of 1 is poor, while a rating of 5 is excellent. Thus, a character with a single dot in a trait is either not very good with that trait or is a beginner. Don't think that your character sucks because she's only got 1 dot in manipulation. The experience system presented blah blah blah. Traits are rated accordingly to a human scale. Except for empiric traits, like advantages and blood pool, which are rated on kindred standard. That doesn't help me.
Hi, Cassie.
Okay. So we're trying to figure out how your powers drain your blood points.
Wouldn't know. Let's see, where did it go there?
Each level of a domain reduces the difficulty of. Yeah, I have no idea.
Trying to say, I just control that blood point and I don't find anything. It's like 300 mentions of it.
268 mentions total.
Yep.
Okay, a character's blood pool measures how much vitae the vampire has in his system. Blood pool comprises a number of individual blood points. Each blood point corresponds roughly to 1/10 of the blood of an average adult mortal. Maximum number of blood points a vampire may ingest is dictated by his generation, as is the number of blood points he may spend in a single turn. Well, that doesn't help.
Yeah, I'm currently reading.
Using blood pool 268. Using blood pool. Vampires must subtract 1 blood point from their blood pools every night. That's not.
I ignore that thing, I think, because I have a thing for that. Don't get restricted dice in the day, because I have him a light sleeper.
As previously mentioned, every vampire expends 1 blood point each night. Whether or not she actually goes out and about. Characters may also use blood points in a variety of other ways. A vampire may spend only a certain number of blood points per turn. Of course. Vampire may spend 1 blood point to heal 1 normal, bashing, or lethal health level of damage.
Yeah, okay. 1 blood. Yeah, and you can spend. That's also tied to your generation.
You can spend 1 blood point to increase a single physical attribute by 1 dot for the duration of the scene. No character may increase physical attributes above 10. Okay, cool. Vampire may give a number of blood points to another kindred, thereby enabling the recipient to use the blood as if it was... Okay, that's cool. Vampire may gift a mortal or animal with a dose of vitae, allowing the mortal in question to inject or ingest it.
Oh shit, I can possess people with 5 points. Well, 5 dominate, I can possess people. That's red on dominate. That's pretty fun.
By spending variable number of blood points, a vampire may will himself to appear more human for a scene. Okay. Doesn't say anything about using your powers yet. Blood pool may be spent to fuel certain vampiric disciplines. Consult Chapter 4 or Chapter 10 to see which individual powers require blood expenditure.
Well, that's clear. On to Chapter 4 or 10. And Chapter 4 starts at... Somewhere
far now.
Chapter 4 starts at 127. And Chapter 10, 293.
Yeah, this is just the descriptions for the different disciplines.
Mm-hmm. So the disciplines should state how much is used each, use. I guess.
Yeah, but Thomas further on didn't say anything specific.
Okay, then I'm gonna go to chapter 10.
393.
Okay, here we go. What? No! Go here. Okay. Should be close to what I'm looking for. That's not what I'm looking for, so I have to skip past this immediately. Super long scroll. Because I don't know when this section ends. So I have to just keep scrolling. This is super annoying to try to figure out. Blood pool, blood pool, blood pool, blood pool.
So much blood pool. Can't you just say, yeah, you do this. Done.
Yeah, that's I think a drawback of the older version we're using. But that's just my guess.
Don't know if the dominant things actually drains your blood pool. I think it has to be a specific thing that does that.
Because if you can just use the abilities, then it's super powerful. Yeah, it doesn't look like I'm gonna find the thing I'm looking for.
Let me just test the thing. Primary. Where is it? Background merits flaws. Yeah, no. Powers. There we go. Discipline 1. Nope.
Fuck humanity.
I'm just trying to look where the hell you can perhaps all stuff. Wait a minute.
I think it's the path thing that drains your thing. The disciplines are just something you know. I'm not sure.
Let me see.
Nope. I swear to God, I had something that I could do last time.
The number, the next you roll d10. The number is the number of blood points a character. Oh, so I think just the blood pool. The number is the number of blood points a character has in the system at the beginning of the game. The only die roll that made during the character creation. No. This was just blood pool.
Yep, that's not the important one we're looking for.
Because I thought... Because in the video game, you have to use your blood points to do anything.
Yeah, we can compare it to it, but it's not that. Oh.
So I just figured that it was based on the thing where you could have to spend your blood points to do the things.
If you go to blood sorcery, then you can, well, ask for a roll, but that's only with rituals currently.
And I just used.
Okay, maybe you just get the abilities, and then they have to try to resist it.
Let me see.
As far as I read, I don't find anything.
Okay. I mean, if that's how it works, that's how it works. But
it says something that said that drains so much blood points, and the blood points is your blood pool, as far as I read.
Yeah, I will have to be looking into it then.
Okay. Well, that's fine.
Since I like to do a lot of digging. So you use the
ability.
I will trash.
And you got 1, which is enough to get him to do what you want. So then he goes, please.
Well, yeah, I did set back, so yeah.
And I think it only lasts 1 turn unless if you get additional successes.
Yeah.
Okay. Which is 3 seconds. So he says please and then he stops. And then he looks at you and he is slightly afraid.
Kind of look at greaser and see what he reacts.
He goes, so you do have some of my abilities, it seems.
Well, it seems I don't know all your abilities, but I did what I told him without having to convince him to do it.
Yes. And as you were doing it, you noticed that you were like, you could feel yourself extending to him and making him do the thing, rather than him just doing the thing because you said it or any other reason. You could feel a piece of yourself extend out and grapple with his mind and overpower it.
Well, I guess this is only the start of those abilities, but they are quite interesting, even though I effectively only has 2 of them active. Because my hearing is way better too.
Mm-hmm. He goes, there's also something else in that room with him. And Jonathan goes, oh, there's something else in here? And he's just looking around. You can use your abilities to see it. Or at least you should, if you're one of my children.
I'm just seeing if I know I have the awareness skill. Just need to figure what things I have to add in addition to that.
It's your aspects, is what he's trying to get you to use.
Okay. You use the aspects, and that just heightens senses, so basically everything gets enhanced.
Aspects also allows you
Burn
to
increased
detect
also
things
the
like ghosts.
Yeah. So the light must become far more distinct. The vampire could taste the hint of liquor in the victim's blood. I think just a 2.
But I don't know what the level 1 thing does. It might not be able to even see the ghost.
It takes an effective action to activate this ability, but no roll causes. I roll a perception plus alertness. It says.
Okay, so you roll a perception plus alert.
So that's 3 dice for me, because my perception is not the best. It's still okay, but that's a 10 and a 9. So 2.
Okay. Alright. And what does it say that it does? Specifically.
Let me see. So these.
By the way, what page is that on? So I can see.
Yeah, it should be on the discipline things. I have it noted in my discipline power, so you can just read on the description of Oscar. It's on page 142 in the book. No, in the PDF.
Okay, there it is.
And the heightened sensible. It's just a system out of it. I just copied that one.
Okay. Okay, so this one doesn't actually allow you to see see ghosts. Okay.
I guess that's the awareness. I can just sense that there's something else there, but I can't directly see it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Whereas some of your other abilities, once you get higher aspects, you can see the creatures. So, you got 2 successes. So yes, you sense... Like, you felt that it was cold in here, slightly. But you actually sense that there's a presence that isn't Jonathan that's in that room.
Well, is something non-mortal in there at least? I guess I can sense that too.
He goes, I keep forgetting. You're a fledgling. You can't... And then he just sort of flashes and his eyes change slightly. And he goes, see the thing in there.
No.
He seems slightly frustrated.
Well, yeah, you can see it, so I believe you. And I sense something in there, so yeah, I believe everything.
So the other thing you should be able to do... you should be able to make some sort of magic. Which is where this comes in. And he hands you the book
Okay.
that he
Do I
showed you before.
still have the ripped page in my pocket?
Yep. And I'll say that particular ripped page is exactly the thing that you're trying to do right now. It tells you how to do it. And for some reason, you're able to read it now.
I didn't understand this before I changed. Now I can.
Yeah, it has an enchantment on it that prevents non-vampires from reading it.
I like the level 1 thaumaturgy thing. I can literally touch blood, and then I can know exactly how much blood they have left in them.
Okay,
That's
so
like
you
the
have
magic.
to touch a droplet of blood,
Mhm.
and then you supernaturally know how much.
Touching the blood of the subject caster may determine how much vita remains in the subject, and if the subject is a vampire, and how recently it's fed, if it is a vampire. It's approximate general. I basically get the info of the thing I've touched blood of.
Yeah, it depends on how many successes you get. So roll the thaumaturgy ability.
It does specify which it's based on. But I assume the +1 from thaumaturgy and 1 of my
It
attributes.
says it takes a reflexive action to activate this ability, which you're not in combat, so you can just do that whenever you want. But no roll or other cost is required. Okay, so you can just do it. Although, in certain circumstances, dice rolls associated with using the character's sense decrease in difficulty by a number equal to the character's Auspex rating. I don't know what that means.
I think if the aspects is high, the difficulty increased by that many points.
Okay, it says the storyteller may use this power to see if the character perceives a threat. No, wait. I'm looking at the wrong thing. I was looking at Auspex. What was the name of that ability?
Taste of blood.
Oh yes, thaumaturgy. That's so huge that I'll take 5 hours finding it.
It's on page 220 in the PDF.
Okay,
I'm at the pages.
Actually, you have a few abilities that you can use. I think. Wait. No. So this is the wrong thing, I think. Yeah. So Taste of Blood is not the name of the ability. What page was it on?
221 in the video.
Okay.
That's the description of Taste of Blood say. That's where it is.
Okay, there we go. The name of the ability... $221.
Although it does specify the name of the ability, because the ability I have, I could only have one with my 1 thaumaturgy. So I have the only one that is. At level 1, I get the Taste of Blood ability from the Path of Blood, because that was the path I chose.
Yeah,
That
page
does
that you
say
gave me...
It's on 221 in PDF, so there's 213 in the book.
Okay, that's why it's bringing me to the...
So it's 213 in the book. You have to go a little further up. You were down at different things.
Yeah, I typed in I was actually on the book.
Yeah, you're right. You were on the path of corruption.
Yeah. So I was
Path of
like,
blood is like on the top.
that doesn't make sense. It's a taste for blood, not a taste of blood. That's why I was getting something different. Okay.
Yeah, because I have
CFO's might, an extremely important ability in the tumultuous early nights, blah blah blah. By merely touching the blood of his subject, the caster may determine how much. Okay, so here's. Yeah, it just says a number of successes achieved on the roll determines how much information the thaumaturge gleans and how accurate it is. It doesn't say which dice you have to use.
Then principles of time, the base denies the manipulation of the kindred. What would that be, wisdom?
Because usually under system it just tells you roll this. This one it just says the number of successes. Well, what's the ability based off of? It doesn't say. Path of Blood. Almost every turn.
Okay.
Yeah, just not. Let me see what the next ability does. It just says each success for each of these abilities. No, wait. It's a willpower roll.
A willpower is insane.
I think. I think it's willpower because some of the other abilities use your willpower. And none of the other ones say which thing you're using. Let me roll up. See if paths defined, blah blah blah, as mentioned before. First path the character learns is considered. Secondary paths may be learned once the character has acquired 2 or more dots in her primary path.
Mm.
Each time the character invokes one of the powers of a thaumaturgical path, the thaumaturgy's player must spend a blood point and make a willpower roll. Okay, so that's what it is. It's for each of the paths. So they put it in the generalized thing at the top. That's why it wasn't listed. So you have. This is one of the few things that you actually do have to spend blood points to use.
Because it's the path. And the blood, as far as I read, is my blood pool, which I have 10 of currently.
Yeah. So you have to spend a blood point and make a willpower roll against a difficulty equal to the power's level, plus 3.
So 4.
Only one success is required to invoke a path's effect. Path levels, not successes, govern the power of blood magic. I don't know what that means. Failure on this roll indicates that the magic fails. A botch causes some kind of loss or catastrophic backfire, such as losing a willpower point.
Or worse.
Spontaneous combustion, or accidental letting a living statue run rampant.
I'm using a double-edged sword.
Yeah, how you just casually say spontaneous combustion.
Yeah, I just couldn't find it.
Okay, so you have to roll your willpower.
So
that's 7 dice for me.
And
my willpower's insane.
The power's level plus 3, seems.
So 4. Because I have power 1 in that and +3.
Mm-hmm. Same thing.
So, 6.
Okay, you got 6 successes. Yeah,
Yeah,
so
my
you
willpower's
not
the
only
same.
manage... If you get less than that, I think something bad happens, is what the book is trying to say. If you get
If
less
you get less
than
than 4.
3 plus your powers level,
Okay. Okay.
is when something bad happens. Okay. But if you get at least 1, then you're fine. You can still do the thing, it's just that something bad will happen. Okay, so you get 6. And
Yep.
you spend 1 of your blood points.
Mm-hmm. My first blood point spent.
So, you walk over, there's a little bit of blood on the ground. Seems almost purposely placed on the ground. Nearby the entrance. And you just sort of walk over to it, touch it.
Yep.
And you rub it between your fingers. This blood is from yes, so here's the information you get. Since you rolled super high.
My willpower is crazy. I put like most of my stuff in willpower.
Okay. So you find a drop of blood of a vampire. This vampire, the last time it was fed was 20 years ago.
Damn. I would also know his approximate generation.
His approximate generation seems to be... I forget the word. The terminology is going to trip me up here. He seems to be of maybe between 7th and 10th generation. You're not sure? And this particular creature has committed diablerie, which means that he's consumed vampires.
I'll tell all this to my sire.
He goes,
in detail.
So we took a drop of his blood from when he was captured. Yeah. So you definitely have the ability to use thaumaturgy. And you are definitely using our most basic form of magic.
Well, as you said, I'm just a fledgling.
True, though some fledglings gravitate more towards other types of magic. Seems like you just used the one that was right in front of you. That's fine. So he takes you out of that room. Unless if you want to do anything else here. He'll stop and wait for you. If you want to do anything else in this room, like test weapons or whatever.
I'm gonna try weapons when I have literally nothing in weapons at all.
Yeah.
I have like no physical capabilities except 2 stamina and no of the skills that use as well. I can drive, but that's it.
You're more of a roleplay type of character for now. Combat isn't your strong suit. You can still
magic,
do
but there's
certain
no damage
things
magic.
because you have a minimum stat of 1, so you can still try things, but you're not nearly as good as other people.
Yeah, so I would have like 2 dice.
He leads you out of that room. And he says, so it seems that you're going to have to study up a little more. See what you can learn. However, for now, you're going to need to help us with something.
Very well.
He leads you down this underground-seeming complex, and leads you to a large room where that vampire that you saw before, with the spikes coming out of his head, he's standing in front of a large room full of your former students and a few other people, as well as a bunch of other people who look similar, as well as those 3 dudes who look exactly the same. And the ones that are your students, they don't look any different.
Yes, Regina.
And they seem to be still alive. And he seems to be making some sort of speech going on about how this will make the clans, the sect stronger, and to have more soldiers, so that way the main members of the sect do not have to sacrifice themselves. Things of that nature is what he's going on about. All the kids seem super scared. And one of them sees you and tries to get your attention. However, it seems like you're focusing more on his speech. He goes on about that the Sabbat have survived this long for reasons, because I don't have an exact speech written.
That's right.
He's just going on about how the Sabbat has survived this long due to their ingenuity and their willingness to make sacrifices, and therefore the attention being drawn towards them due to this this particular action that they have taken is worth it for the good of the sect. And everybody seems to cheer the ones that are probably already on your side. The kids seem like they're super afraid. You see that a number, like 6 or 7 of these vampires that look very similar to that guy that I was describing, except they have changed, they have different forms, but they look very similar to him, and they have the similar robes. And he shouts out, "Tonight we will reclaim this city!" And you hear cheering. And you see the other vampires starting this very large ritual. They're waving their arms. Some of them are drawing symbols on the ground. The kids are all super intimidated at this moment. And one of the vampires get into different points on this pointed star-like formation. And they raise their hands. This red glow begins to appear around all the students. And they start screaming. They all fall to the floor, unconscious. And then you see their skin and stuff start to change. A large group of them, there was about 40 kids there. About 10 of them all amalgam into this huge monstrosity. But the rest of them turn into these uniformly looking dudes that are like buff. And they all seem to be wearing the same clothes that they were before. And then you see another dude, the dude in the black hoodie. He comes out with a trunk, and he just opens it, and it's full of army fatigues. So the large monstrosity, it just seems like it's a pile of flesh that has like tendrils coming off of it. But it's the exterior of it is covered in bone. So he gives the other ones these army fatigues. They all look the same, similar to those 3 other ones that you saw that all look the same, except these ones that all look the same, they're slightly shorter that they just made. They look almost exactly identical. Like, even the ones that were male and female, they all changed into these hulking male-like figures. Although they're slightly shorter than the 3 main ones that were there before. They do have different facial features as well. But they look, that group of 30 look exactly the same. So you can now inquire as to what just happened or do some other things. But for now, unless if you have any more questions, we'll jump forward a little bit.
The first thing I would have asked the guy's name, the guy that turned me. That's basically it.
Yeah, and it's your sire, which is Victor Kent. He's apparently been alive since the 1940s.
Yeah. Wayfly. So I don't have anything in particular to ask.
All right.
So you can skip it.
All right. So in the coming days, you are utilized in a warlike fashion. You command a platoon of these identical-looking people that were just turned. They gave you 6.
Okay.
They gave you 6 dudes. And I'm going to roll to determine their fate in this particular battle as you attempt to take this city.
I'm taking over city.
Yep, that's what they're trying to do. So I'm just going to roll this to determine.
4.
Ooh. So half
of
your...
That's a lot of 3.
A little... Like, you have... So I said you had 6 dudes. 2 of your dudes managed to survive the battle.
Okay. So 4's dead.
Yeah. So here's what the battle is like. It's not your conventional warfare where they use tanks and whatnot to take over city blocks or destroy buildings or things of that nature and take a strategic point. What it is you're going in the cover of night, walking into like a hotel, let's say, and you'll go to the penthouse floor and you'll attack a bunch of bodyguards and kill 1 dude, maybe. That's what this type of warfare is. So, after the battle is complete, you only lost 4 dudes. Like, you did really well compared to some of the other ones. Like that huge monstrosity, they didn't release that. They only kept it underground. And there was a raid at one point from the people that you were fighting. They called themselves the Camarilla. And they came into the underground area, but apparently the monstrosity just was in its cage. And when the Sabbat realized that they were being attacked, they just opened the cage and the huge monstrosity just moved a little bit and the rest of the attackers fled. So, didn't turn out too well for them. because apparently it killed like 10 dudes before they managed to retreat with the rest. Just by it moved like 20 feet. That's all it managed to move, and it killed like 10 dudes. Like you managed to see part of it, and its tentacles just started impaling dudes left and right. Yeah, so they ran away. And it turns out that the Camarilla have evacuated the city after losing too many people, which they considered you winning the battle. That was about... It took you about... Because each time you would go to do a raid, you would have to research a target, or not you specifically. They would do research on a target and figure out how to get to each person. It took about 10 years for that to happen.
Damn.
So, over those 10 years, you lost your 4 dudes.
Each I'm 35, but it looks like I'm 25.
By a different, each one of them being taken out by a different target. But it seems like those particular dudes, they seem to have the same mind. It was almost like they were like a hive creature.
Okay.
And it was just different limbs of it being removed as each one of them was dying.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'll give you a little bit of lore on them.
Sure.
They are creatures known as blood brothers.
Fitting name.
These creatures are created by the types of vampires that you saw. The Shimesi, or however you pronounce them.
Chimis, I know what you're talking about.
Yes. Yeah, so those vampires can basically flesh meld. Like, they can mold flesh into whatever they want. So they made them look exactly the same, because then it's easier for them to control them. And these blood brothers that were under your control, they are quasi-vampires. So when they're defeated, they turn to ash like any other vampire does when they get killed. But these ones sort of, they can work as a cohesive unit, those sorts of things. So they're very useful. They're not very smart, however. And they got even more stupid as more of your particular unit died. They got even more stupid. But to work as a good unit with them, they also fed on your blood a little bit, so that way you could more easily order them. So, you technically have a blood bond with these creatures. At least at this moment. You can call them whatever you want, because technically they didn't have names. And technically they're considered one creature altogether.
As a bond with blood brother.
Yeah. So these particular blood brothers are yours to command. You managed to drive the Camarilla out over the course of 10 years, hunting down some of their more prominent members within the city. Some of them were pretty prominent within the city in general, like not just in vampire culture. Like one of them turned out to be the mayor of the city. That sort of thing.
Okay.
And it was pretty bad for a while. Even human cops were sniffing around for a bit due to the assassination of the mayor. But
figure.
Either way, you managed to drive the Camarilla out of the city. So you have become relatively prominent, although it seems like you didn't get really any promotions or anything. They just sent you on very targeted missions, while the bigger, tougher guys were the ones doing most of the bigger fighting.
That's right.
Like if there was a dude who needed assassinated who got into his car, that sort of thing. But some of the missions included going onto the top floor of a hotel or another building and just massacring anybody who was there. But as a result of that, the Sabbat now controls this particular city. So,
Cool.
As a result of that, you now have gone back to your teaching job, because for a certain amount of time you were considered missing, as well as all of your students, which led to a big manhunt. But it seemed like after you dealt with some of your targets, the police just sort of forgot about it. Even though 40 kids just went missing.
That actually dominate build, you can actually remove memories.
Yeah, you have a feeling that there was other things going on in the background. But when certain people were attacking you, you would use your dominate ability to just sort of tell them to do something else, and you actually a few times managed to succeed. Sometimes they overpowered you, but you're still considered a fledgling. Okay, so let's see what backgrounds you added to your character.
It should say primary because I didn't add to primary, and it should say here.
Oh, okay.
I can add them to the background thing.
Okay, so you managed to obtain a domain.
Cool.
Which we talked about before. As a result of the things that you've done, you've managed to obtain that domain. The retainer, I think that gives you one dude.
Gives me one dude.
Okay. So this is not including those blood brother dudes.
That's right.
This is a human. What he does is he like guards your dwelling, that sort of thing. So he's a ghoul, I think, which is technically a human who has drank some of your blood to be bonded with you. So he is unwaveringly loyal, or she, depending on who you turned. So you get to create a character who is your retainer. Your mentor is that dude.
Sire?
Yeah, your sire. So for now, he is a very prominent member because he turned you, and he did some pretty good work during that war as well. So he's been increased in his prominency. That other guy, the Shimizi, he was a leader for like a different area that was helping you guys take over this area. So, yeah, he is now the leader of this city, this particular domain, like the larger domain. And he's given you like a section, which is your domain that you have. So, yeah, and you've picked up on some of the rituals that they've been performing.
I have a church,
Yeah.
Factory, warehouse, mid-rise, or a large structure. That is the domain.
Yeah. So you can choose what that looks like, because the entire city is under control. So there's like the industrial area, the residential districts, and everything. You can choose where that is. So it could be a church, it could just be even like a building on the university property.
Probably would be that, since he's a teacher.
Okay.
Besides that, one of the buildings.
Technically, you have that area sectioned off. There's just a building. It used to be a dormitory, but now it is taken over by you let other vampires come here and rest. You kind of consider it like an inn, almost. That other vampires from other cities, if they're coming to visit, you give them a space to rest. Because it's sort of like, it used to be a dormitory, like I said. So it's got multiple rooms. But you refurbished one of the rooms into your study, and it has multiple ritual books that you've been trying to figure out within. So you have a small library consisting of one bookshelf worth of books. You can put that into your inventory if you wish. That you are currently studying, you don't know the contents of them. Like, you've been looking in them, glancing in each one, but with your other duties, it's been distracting. For the moment. So you have that ghoul man. He can be a dude or a woman, and you can have this ghoul look or act almost any way you wish. They are undyingly loyal to you, and will do anything you wish as long as you give them a little bit of blood every once in a while.
That's strange. So it would be like extremely loyal ghoul dude.
Yeah.
That is basically like a bodyguard in my house.
Okay, so you saw a huge bodybuilder at a club one night, and you were just like, yeah, let's dominate him, tell him to come into this alley with me. And you managed to dominate him long enough to feed him some of your blood, which turned him into a ghoul. So then from there, it just sort of slippery sloped into him becoming your bodyguard.
Retainer, ghoul bodybuilder.
Yeah. So he guards the entrance to your place, and he can do things during the day that you can't. So at this particular university, you've been teaching night classes, obviously. Yeah. You're still not sure how that one vampire got into the school during the day, but since they have an underground area, you just assumed that maybe there was an underground tunnel that led into the school that he could use to get in there somehow. But you haven't explored that yet, due to being distracted with wartime politics and whatnot. So you're about 5 years from the campaign start.
Yep.
And here's what's going to happen. So it's 2012? 2013?
2012 it would be. Okay. You said 5 years from the campaign.
I'm not good at math, obviously.
That's right. I'm not good at math either.
Okay. So, since the Sabbat owns this place, there are certain warehouse districts that they've certain parts of the warehouse districts that they've cordoned off that they use for their games and things of that nature to be openly vampire. But they still want to be able to control the human populace, therefore they're not like openly vampiring all the time. Though being a vampire in this city is quite a bit less stressful than certain Camarilla cities. So if you somehow show off one of your powers, it's easier to not get in trouble for that. That sort of thing.
Yep.
But you're still not supposed to do it. Because there are smartphones and stuff. So
yeah, we're in 2012, so they're
people take pictures of it, that sort of thing. So you don't want that to happen. Still. But either way, one day during 2012, in about the summertime, you awaken from your empty slumber which just feels like you're in a pit of black with no, like one of those sensory deprivation tanks. Just nothingness when you're sleeping. However, you are woken by a knock on your study door.
I go open.
Alright. You see Victor. He stumbles in. He appears to be heavily injured.
You okay, sire?
Yeah, he has like a hole through his abdomen where his intestines would be. And he has like scratches and chunks out of his face. As he just sort of stumbles and lays on the floor in the middle of this room.
Mm-hmm.
It would take him probably a few days, even in his vampire nature, to
one of
recover
my merits
from
is
these
healing
injuries.
touch, so I can like heal minor wounds.
Yeah,
but
so
it's a
you
big
heal some
wound.
of that. You can't heal all of it.
It's my sire. It's my sire, so of course it would help.
Yeah. So, with your minor healing touch merit that you've learned from one of the books that you looked at.
It says with a butter touch, you can achieve the same effect as if you're feeding a creature. Closing puncture wounds.
If you're feeding on a human, you can bite them, and if you lick the area where you bit them, it closes the wound so that way nobody notices that they were bitten. You can have the same effect by just putting your hand on it instead.
Mm-hmm.
So you start closing up some of his more minor wounds, and he just looks at you, and he says, I didn't think it was true.
What's going on?
There's a second Inquisition.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
That's all the reaction you get.
Yeah.
He wouldn't know what the Inquisition is.
You hear banging on the entrance to the building.
Is that?
And you hear, "Open up!" Federal authorities, open up!
I'll just look at it, Victor, and should I?
He goes, they must have saw me come in here.
Well, if there's too many, I can try to make them go away.
You hear as the front door to the building gets kicked in.
God. I just see that the FBI give from FBI open up, just the door gets
FBI, open up!
Yes, blown open. Oh dear God.
I kind of walk slightly downstairs.
You do have a couple visiting vampires in the area that are also Sabbat. You hear scuffles downstairs.
I kind of walk downstairs.
You don't hear any gunfire. You just hear people getting hurt and things of that nature. And your sire says, they have silenced weapons.
Should I interfere?
Well, they're going to be coming up here. They're looking for me. Since he technically rules this city, it seems like they're targeting him.
Okay, then we need to find a place for you to hide.
Okay, so what are you trying to do? I didn't hear you.
I'll just say to Victor, then we need a place for you to hide. If they're looking for you specifically.
Well, I don't know if you know, but we've had some loyal Nosferatu digging a tunnel under here. We may be able to escape.
Should we take everyone down there, or should someone stay?
The enemy are between us and it. If they're in the lobby.
Okay.
You hear some roaring downstairs as you're thinking.
Okay, that's the thing.
Yeah, you probably have a gangrel downstairs that's changed into his animalistic form.
Yeah, we need to get down there. At least get you away from here.
Look, kid, it's been a hell of a time. But just leave me here. Try to figure out a way for you to escape.
I'm not leaving you to die.
I'm pretty injured. You're not that strong.
No, I'm not the fighting type. Yet.
Well, if they give you a minute to speak your mind, you know what to do. But my vitae is... it's quite low. As he coughs up a bunch of blood, you can see that his intestines area is starting to heal slightly, but you have a feeling he doesn't have enough vitae to heal this in one night.
Yeah, it's not much I can do to help with that.
Do something. You hear the loud roar turn into a final death scream as probably that vampire is defeated.
I'll go down.
Alright, you rush out of the room. You see that all the doors in this particular former dormitory are open. You see that there are a couple of vampires. One has a human he was feeding on in this particular dormitory, because he's allowed to do that because he's Sabat. He's just... You see that he's a chimpanzee, and he's starting to reform this dude into like a... You know the speed zombies from Half-Life 2?
Oh.
Yeah, he's starting to form him into something that looks like that.
Okay.
As he's just waving his hands over this body.
Yeah, I'll kind of act calm downstairs. Like, okay, what the fuck is going on here?
So, mostly bone and very little muscle.
Yeah. And he's going for something tall, too. So he's, like, reforming it into something that's, like, 10 feet tall.
How
so
many
are you
people
asking him something or somebody else?
I see the quarrel. I'll tell the others to stop.
If you see the fighting?
Yeah, if I see the fighting and
okay,
tell
so you
the
walk past that guy to see the fighting if that's what you want to do. I'm just giving you set dressing.
That's right.
He's getting ready to fight somebody, is what he's doing.
I'm kind of giving give me a minute look.
Okay, so he's like, fine, but he's like looking at you like, fine, but he continues making this creature that he's going to create.
Hey, keep doing that.
Yeah.
I'll stop him.
Yeah. You can see like the bones snapping and becoming longer. This really grotesque ritual that he's performing. But either way, you sneak past him. And you get to the stairway down to the main floor. And you see, as you're about to enter this floor, you see probably one of the visiting vampires. He's turned into this like half bat creature. So probably another gangrel. He looks kind of like if vampires had a half form that was half bat. Is kind of what it looks like.
I have a picture of it. I know what you mean.
Yeah. So he's like hulking out, running forward, swiping at these dudes in extremely heavy armor. They have like Kevlar patches between where the metal plating is of their armor. And they each have like a silenced machine gun that they're shooting at him with.
Who looks like the boss type? Like the one... Yeah.
There's a guy in front. He has a slightly bigger helmet, and it has... the other ones don't have this, but this guy's helmet has like a... It's perfectly spherical helmet, and it has like like a little slot for his eyes, like a little visor, and it has his helmet has a big cross on the front of it.
Yeah. Oh, is he shooting at you there, or
He's shooting at the gangrel that looks half bat.
can
Looks
I
like
lock
everybody
eyes?
else who was on the lower floor is dead.
Can I
Because
lock
there's
eyes with him?
piles of ash everywhere.
A lot of dead vampires. Okay. Can I lock eyes with him, or
You can try. He's not looking directly at you, however. You can try to get his attention. But if you do that, he might turn his attention towards you.
well, I don't look like I look pretty much just like ordinary teacher.
Yeah, you still got the stereotypical pale face and sharp fangs if they see you talk. So they might notice that, but you can still try to get his attention.
Okay, what's the meaning of this? I just say it loud.
Alright. One of them turns towards you. However, it's not the leader guy. And he reaches onto his belt, and he takes out an extremely well-polished wooden implement.
Hey, no need for violence here.
He says, "Are you one of them?" As they finish off that other gangrel. He just sort of goes, "Ah!" Falls to the floor in a bloody mess, and then burns to a crisp.
I'm not one of them, and I point to one of the gangrels.
Okay. He falls to the ground and turns to a bunch of ash on the ground. The other guys are walking towards you, weapons ready. The guy with the wooden implement is at the front, however, and the leader guy is behind him.
Mm.
They aren't looking at you, however. All of them. So you can try to do something.
All of them are looking at me?
Yeah.
Even
It's
the
a
boss?
group of like 7 or 8 guys.
If the boss is also looking at me, if I can get eye contact, I'll command him to retreat.
Alright. So you have to roll against his willpower.
There was intimidation, manipulation, right?
Yep.
That's 3.
You do well. And you manage to get him to stop for a second. And he is about to turn around to retreat. And he's saying, like everything seems to slow down for a second. And he says retreat. But as you do that, as you manipulate him, the guy who was in front of him with the wooden implement quickly rushes forward and stabs you right in the chest. This is a vampire weakness, and you know it is.
Mm-hmm.
Being staked. So you begin to start going unconscious. However, the rest of the group seems confused, and the leader guy starts retreating. He does start retreating.
Probably would tell everyone to retreat, but...
Yeah, he did. But unfortunately, since you started using your powers, maybe they have a way of detecting that. And he was like, no, you're not doing anymore. Boom, gone. So you are staked. And you lie unconscious. For you don't know how long. And that is where the campaign is going to pick up.
Okay, I'm unconscious. That was a cannon. Okay, you had to be stabbed anyway. Okay.
And I'm just telling you that was 5 years ago, and the campaign is going to be starting 5 years from that.
I'm unconscious for 5 years. Damn.
Well, you don't know. Perhaps you did something in those 5 years.
I don't know. I manipulated a commander.
Pressing stop.
Alright, so that's your prologue.
Mm-hmm.
Does Gia want to try to do his?
Well, not the usual time we would do the extremely long, but
It's up to
Sure, I
you.
guess we can make a beginning of it.
Yeah, some of it was taken up by trying to figure out rules, which we won't
Yeah.
have to figure out for you.
Okay.
So,
I will more advanced. I know magic.
so yours is the equivalent 15 years ago.
And I'll go to the bathroom.
Okay. So, Gio.
Yes, I'm here. I'm listening.
So, what is your character like?
Well, we previously got an electrician.
Okay.
Bit of
So,
a
what's
blonde
his
guy.
morning routine like?
Well, his morning routine is more like his what a normal person's going to bed routine would be like.
Okay. So, get into that. What does he do before he goes to work?
Well, before he goes to work, he just checks whatever messages he got during he was asleep, or well,
Okay, so you're saying that he's a
after
night
that,
electrician?
yeah.
Oh,
Because
okay.
sir,
That's fine. That's fine.
yeah,
So, what I meant by morning routine is like when he wakes up from
yeah,
going to
yeah.
sleep.
Like I said, his morning routine is what normal people do when they go to bed. So
Yeah.
that is his night routine. There's
Okay,
literally to
so
say.
he's waking up. And so what was the first thing you said that he does?
So checks messages to see if he missed anything today. Checks the news, gets some coffee, then gets the keys, gets in his car, and gets going.
Okay.
Okay, but or forget also, since nights are not safe usual, so he's armed. Just in case some people think like it's fun to rob him or something.
Okay. So the
Would lay into his
first
detect.
yeah, the first message that you get on your machine is that there's a 90-year-old lady, or at least that's what she's told you.
Mm-hmm.
And but she looks super old, so you assume it's true. She owns this really large house, almost like a mansion. And she's constantly having to battle with bad wiring. So she wants you to stop by because one of her lights is flickering, and she wants to see if you can fix it. It's the same light that you fixed last time.
Yep.
So she's like,
Basically,
it's flickering again. Can you make it stop? Oh wait,
so the
this
basic
is an answering machine. You can't answer. And I'll wait upon your phone call. And then hang up.
Yeah. So if this is someone he has had before, the basic things he always tells her is just replace all the wires, but I can fix it. For now.
Well, it seems like she just wants you to come over and see if you can do anything. She'll pay you. She's paid you before.
Yeah, I'm gonna come over, get all my stuff I need.
That's the first message. The second message is there's this what's the word for it? This call center where they receive phone calls from other places and just tell them what to do, that sort of thing, or whatever the calls are about. Apparently they're having problems with the wiring on one of their server towers. Apparently it's plugged into the wall, as the message says. Yeah, it's plugged in. We made sure this time. But there's some sparks coming from the outlet.
Okay, that sounds 10 times more important than the flickering raw lights.
But for now, they have it unplugged, so there's no sparks.
Okay.
So It's not like there's sparks flying right now. You need to come right now. No, they once the sparks started flying, they removed the plug from the socket, and it stopped. But they would like to have that tower back up and running. So, if you can come as soon as you can, is what the message says.
So, how many messages are you planning to let me listen to, so to say?
Those are the two.
Yeah. So,
other than a telemarketer.
Telemarketer, skip.
Yeah. It seemed like it was one of those automated robocalls that it didn't realize that you didn't pick up the phone, and it just left the message of what it was trying to say to you.
Yeah. Well, considering high and low priority, that service has pretty high priority.
Okay. So you can go fix the server first. And this actually tells me who's going to turn you. So this is helpful. Since you didn't pick out a sire yet or anything, did you?
Yeah.
Okay. Good. Then I can play off that. I can give you an interesting one.
Whoa!
So,
It sounds like Crash Bandicoot that just joined the chat.
Woohoo!
I had to make that joke.
Just hope he doesn't explode and all that's left is his sneakers.
Aw, I want that to happen. Why did you allow me?
Yeah, and then his eyeballs fall into his sneakers and the sneakers walk around for a bit.
Oh, God.
But either way.
Either way, indeed.
So, you're going to the call center first?
Call center first.
Okay. So, it's becoming about nighttime. It's like 6 or 7 o'clock, so there's still a bit of light, but it's still becoming nighttime. So it's about the time that you would usually wake up. So you can leave immediately, or you can continue the rest of your morning routine, which is watch the news and whatnot.
Well, since the tower is quite high priority in the IT world, so to say, so electrician world as well, so that's more like fill thermoses with some coffee and grab something easy to eat and get going.
Okay, you're not going to check the news?
Sad enough, no, there you don't have time for that to do with that.
Okay. I would have just given you a little something, but that's okay.
I can check it
So
later.
you jump into your electrician's van that you bought. Apparently you're self-owned company. So you have a van. At this point you're not a Nosferatu, so you're not super ugly yet. So you're just a dude. What kind of dude are you? Since you don't have a character portrait yet.
Yeah, I'm trying to dig up something but can't find anything.
Just give me a basic description.
Bit scruffy looking, just, well, rings on his eyes as well. Bad night sleep, still getting used to schedule and all that.
Yeah, so this is the age that you're going to turn, so how old's this dude?
I had the number. Oh, yeah, 32, that was correct.
Okay.
My guy's 25. So he's basically 40 in the campaign.
Yeah.
It looks like he's 25 still.
Yeah, of course. That's how it works. Although, it would be a shame if you were turned at, 103.
Why not?
There are some vampires that are like that, though.
Yep.
So,
Some
you
look
may
super.
interact with them. In fact, sooner than you think, perhaps. Anyway, so you head to the server farm, which is inside the call center building. You stand at the front door because you technically need a name badge to enter. And you stand at the front door and ring the bell, and they let you in because you're an outside contractor that they were expecting. You enter the building. The receptionist tells you to wait for a representative to lead you to the proper location. And a dude comes out, well-dressed man. He seems to be one of the night workers, because they are a 24-hour call-in call center. So people from all around the world are calling. And the night calls are usually prank calls of drunk people, but still, there are people from other sides of the world that are still calling here for whatever reason. You're not sure. You don't ask questions. You just fix the stuff. So, he goes on and tells you, yeah, sometimes we get drunk calls.
Yeah, I know what you mean, but the sparks from the server, that sounds, well, not
Yeah,
good.
he's leading you to it. And he goes, yeah, don't know what it is. Faulty wiring. Could be anything.
Well, well, it sounds bad. You might need to, well, get a whole new server if it just started, the server sparking, or, well, just to be sure, the server or
The sparks were coming out of the outlet.
the outlet, huh?
So
Might
he goes,
need to place the wire in that.
yeah. We wouldn't have called you if it was a server issue. Or at least we don't think it is. It could just be the plug for the server. But not sure.
Well, it should be either of the two, but I will of course check which of the two it is.
Alright. Well, right this way, sir. And he opens the door into the server farm. And he leads you to the particular outlet that is the problem child of the outlets.
Got any, well, short cables that, wait, should have put that in my pocket. So, well,
Yeah, you already have that with you.
Yeah, to basically test it, you basically get the normal internet cable, plug into the socket, and then, well, get your tester device, plug that in, and then try to see which of the two ends is the problem. If that thing starts sparking again, then yes, it's a socket.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so, you plug in a random cord. It seems as though the cord isn't initially, at least, plugged into anything, so nothing happens.
Mm-hmm. So the cord is in the socket, then the other end goes into the tester device.
Okay, so now you're putting it into the testing device, and as soon as it goes into the testing device, the wall starts producing a shower of sparks.
Unplug it as quick as possible, because that can fry the testing device.
Yep, so you pull that out, and he goes, so what do you think the problem is?
Definitely the socket.
Right. Okay, well, just come with me. Come get me. My name's Tony.
Yeah.
When you're finished.
Tony, not to disappoint a lot, but how long does this cable run for?
You mean the cable that you have?
No, the cable that's the cable that's connected to the socket.
That cable is like, I'll say, 3 or 4 feet worth of cable, just to test.
44. Yeah, that's gonna be a lot of well, if it's just a socket, then you're in luck. If it's the cable,
Alright, just come get Tony, which is me, and we'll see about the bill.
Yeah. So, put toolbox down and start, well, dismantling the socket to see which of the two is the real culprit.
Alright, I'll get you to roll 2 dice.
2 dice. 2d10. Greater than 5. And I know what I did wrong. Nope.
Okay. This
That's 0
doesn't cause
successes.
you. This doesn't cause you to fail to find out what the problem is.
Mm-hmm.
So you remove the cap for the socket, so you can have a look inside. And you're just about to examine one of the wires when sparks go flying. And it burns your forearm, we'll say.
Just start, patting on the forearm, because, long sleeves are always your friend with these kind of things.
So you receive a minor burn. So we'll say that you have 1 damage, which is fine. It's not going to matter anyway, probably.
Mm-hmm.
So you receive that 1 damage.
Done.
And you realize what the problem is. Seems as though someone has been leeching power. There's a secondary cord connected to this, which is causing the original cord to draw more power than it should be. And I'm not sure if it actually works this way, but somebody's replaced some of the insides of this thing, so that way they could leech power off of it for a different purpose.
Since I do know about it, I must say, no, that's not how it works. But either way, just for this case.
Yeah, basically what they've done. This might sound more plausible. They've replaced the original cord with a different, like the wires inside that have that determine how much power is drawn. Basically, they've replaced it with like a different thing, so that way it draws more wattage. If that makes sense.
I can go on like that's not how it would, but then we would be busy hours. But letting it slide.
Either way. So the wattage is different. So it was overdrawing power for the thing that was trying to plug in, and it was causing sparks to fly.
So after discovering that, I just go over to Tony and ask him where the how do you call it? Power box, switch box is.
Okay. He shows you to the switch box, and yes, the wire has been replaced all the way from there, all the way to the plug.
So who else has been here recently to do this?
I don't know. We haven't called in any repairmen or anything. I'll make some calls.
I'll also make some calls to security, because you might have squatters somewhere in the building then.
Well, maybe not in the building itself. You need a badge to get in, or you'd have to see the receptionist. Again, I need to make some calls.
Okay. I'll be replacing this whole wire then, if that's okay with you.
Alright. So he just walks back.
Yeah, so I basically remove the cable that's there then to, then need
Luckily,
to
most of
rewire
it is
completely.
outside of the wall.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't have to, tear down any walls. Well, many. You do have to basically, you decide to shortcut it a little bit. You're not going to do a bad job or anything, but you decide to shortcut it by pulling on the wire and just keep pulling on it. And it seems like it wasn't even, bracketed into the wall or anything to hold it in place. It was just haphazardly put in.
Yeah,
so you just pull on one end of the wire and the whole thing comes out.
Yeah, so I got free wire, so to say.
Okay, I'll say that you can add that to your tools in your electrician thing, which just counts as your electrician thing.
Yeah, for now.
Yeah. So, after about 10 minutes, which is what it took you to start wiring the new wire, he comes back and he goes, "It seems as though we don't know what happened."
No video cameras, no video,
We
nothing.
checked the cameras. And he even shows you some footage. This is the only thing that was suspicious. And you see that the doors open and then close. Nobody walks in.
How peculiar.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. But nobody came in, so
They didn't open and close a second time or anything.
he checks the footage. Nope.
Huh. Okay then.
That was about last night is when that happened. I assumed it was recently, otherwise the sparks would have started flying sooner.
Yes, that's true. But yeah, they placed the cable. So let's see if it will work right now.
Alright, so you replace the cable
Mm-hmm.
with the proper wattage and everything. And it
Yep.
works. Oh, also, another thing that you should probably note that I should have told you. I thought it was obvious. But anyway, the cable had a separate cable that was crudely spliced onto it. That was feeding off some of the electrical energy. It looks like somebody was what they were trying to do. It didn't work very well, which is why sparks started flying. It looks like they were trying to do a thing that isn't possible, which is why it didn't work. They were trying to put a cable into another cable to feed off half of that cable's power and then put the rest of the cable into the thing to make it look like it's normal, which is a thing that you can't do.
Yeah,
obviously.
Can't take half. It either take all of it or, well, it gets
so
shared.
It looks like
basically.
Somebody crudely tried to feed half the power into a cord that went elsewhere and the rest into the regular cord, which just didn't work. Obviously.
Mm-hmm. Obviously.
So they put the cord went somewhere else in the wall, but since you pulled it out that way, so that way you didn't have to take the wall apart. You just got a cord that was crudely like duct taped on to the other cord. So you got a small other wire that went somewhere else.
Yeah, so I just tell Tony, well, if police are getting involved, I just hold up the cable, got evidence.
He just looks at that and he goes, That's all he does.
So, do I leave it with you, with the receptionist?
As long as we step up security, nobody else should be getting in. If it happens again, though, we'll have to make sure it doesn't happen again. As he just sort of stares off into the distance.
So, you don't want me to leave this cable here with...
No, that's yours. As long as you fix it.
You're sure? I mean, this could contain traces of, well, who did it.
Yeah, whoever did it, they probably lost their... whatever they were hoping to gain from this.
Yeah.
So, what's done is done. Hopefully, nothing else will come with this.
Okay, well, we'll be leaving it with the receptionist that just in case you need it, that you don't need to call me all for it in the middle of the day, because, night technician.
Alright, I see what you mean. Yeah, just leave it at reception.
Okay.
And you spend another couple hours fixing the wire because you actually properly make sure that it's fed through the proper holes and everything. And
see nicely seated, all bolted to the wall, not just hanging around.
Yeah, because that one
Good
was just
cable
sort of
management.
placed there.
Yeah.
Seems like maybe they didn't have enough time or another reason, but you're not sure. You didn't see the person, so you don't know. And there's no cameras pointing at the exact locations where the wire is being fed, so you don't get a spooky wire floating around or anything. You don't see anything. You can't see that because there's no camera footage. So
yeah.
So either way, you feed the wire through. You send him a bill appropriate of your time, and he accepts it, and your materials, of course. Manpower and materials. Those are the two things that you
Manpower,
charge for.
service, hours worked, and materials.
Yeah. So, you even test the server. It's working perfectly. There was nothing wrong with the server. Seems like somebody just fiddled around with the wires in a way that they shouldn't have and caused bad things to happen. So,
That's all then. Back to the car I go, to my second job.
towards the second job. This woman is ungodly rich, and she pays you 10 times what you ask each time. So, it's definitely
That's why I have a
worth your
lot of
time.
money. Okay.
That's my money cow, you know.
Which is why, even though she calls you all the time and gets you to do things that probably she could do herself, even though she's 90 years old. Even though she's 90 years old, she could probably do them herself. You just do them, you charge her the minimum fee, and then she pays, 10 times whatever is written on the page. So, you go with it. So you head to her mansion. It's this weird... It's slightly out of town. It takes you about a half hour to get there. But it's, that's including, stoplights and things of that nature. To get there. And it's on a hill just outside of town. And you arrive. It's kind of reminiscent of, a spooky mansion from the movies. It's not upkept very well, so it's got vines and ivy growing up the side of it.
Are you reading my mind? Because I was literally thinking, yeah, that sounds like a mansion. It's all spooky on the hill, all just out of a spooky movie.
Yep,
Ooh.
it is. If it was lit by candlelight, it probably would be at a set piece in a movie. However, it's lit by electricity. You're not sure who wired the place. It was probably wired in the 1950s or earlier.
The ye olde days.
Yeah. So some of the wiring is done in such a way that a professional electrician of today would not do them, like having 3 switches that all control the same light, just in different positions in the room. Things of that nature.
Sometimes it's still done, believe me.
Sometimes, but it's all the wires are connected to the same thing. So, if you turn the switch up, then all the other switches are still down. So then those ones, to turn it off, if you walked over to those ones, you would have to turn those ones up. And then the other ones, it's a mess, is what I'm trying to tell you. And, some of the lights for different rooms are all on the same wire. So, if you turn a light on in one room, the light in the other room will also turn on. Things of that nature. Oof. So yeah, it's not the best.
Not the best, no.
So, yeah, you walk up to the entrance. You knock on the door. And you see her butler arrive at the entrance. And he goes, "Good evening, sir."
Good evening, the same old, same old.
So you wish to see the mistress?
Well, the mistress told me about the flickering light.
Of course, I tried to fix it myself, but she insisted that an expert be brought in.
Yeah, I told her several times to have once in the times one of the lights will flicker all over again, and then we repeat our song and dance. The best thing I could offer is literally to replace all the wires, but she doesn't want that.
Yes, that would probably require removing some things that she wished to keep, such as the walls. Certain parts of the walls are made of some rare woods. She's very particular.
Oh yeah, that would be a shame, of course, but yeah, I can only do if she doesn't want these walls removed. Then I can only do temporary fixes, which I did tell her about, but they will last a while, at least.
He nods. So, as usual, the mistress does not want to be seen at this time of night. She views it as being disheveled.
Of course. Well, let's head to the problem light then.
Alright, he starts leading you through the house. And yes, you've never actually laid eyes upon this woman. The butler does all the talking for her, all the negotiations, everything. Which you may or may not find suspicious.
Well, not at all. I mean, I get paid very well, even if I charge it a minimum.
Yep. Sometimes he'll walk off into a different room and you'll hear voices, and then he'll come back and
From a
like if you
different
were
room.
asking like I need this thing, or like I need this table moved so I can get to this thing, he would go and talk to her for a bit and then come back and help you move whatever you needed or whatever. So, she does exist. You've heard her voice before. Or at least there's a voice. Because you're an electrician, so you do know that certain trickery things can exist, but you have no reason to assume that that's the case. Either way. Like speakers and whatnot. But anyway. So he leads you to the problem area. It's in the middle of the dining room. Of course it is. In the middle, because there's like this huge 20 to 30 foot long dining table that is in your way every single time. But he insists that you're allowed to stand on it. So that's what you did last time.
Mm-hmm.
So he says, yes, this one seems to be flickering again. And you see that he walks over to one of the switches on the wall, he flips it up, and it's just sort of flickering in and out. It gets extremely bright, and then it gets dim, and it keeps pulsating as it switches between the two.
I'll be checking what is the problem this time to see if it's the light itself, the socket of the light, or at the switch. The usual process we do.
Of course, sir. Can I get you anything?
Well, I got my own coffee thermos, so I'm good for the night.
Very good, sir. And he walks out of the room.
Well, I get to work then to, fixing the locating the problem.
Alright. So, you start dismantling the light. Or you start examining it first. You don't dismantle something before you look at it. That's fair. So you start examining it. Seems as though the light is simply slightly unscrewed. At least that's what it looks like from an initial examination.
Mm-hmm. So, first logical step is to screw it in and then see if it's fixed.
Alright, you screw it in, and it is indeed fixed. You wonder, because this butler is the one who, you assume, for an elderly lady, probably does all the changing of the light bulbs if needed.
Mm-hmm.
Why would he not screw it in all the way? Suspicious. But, hey, you're getting paid.
This time I'm going literally for the bare minimum, because this is literally someone, well, a child could do.
Yes, like I said, some of the things even she could do if she could reach that high. Probably. Yeah. So you start looking around the room. The butler hasn't come back. Normally he comes back in every 2 or 3 minutes to check on you. He hasn't come back.
Just giving him his time, well, since he's not coming back every 2 minutes, then I'll just enjoy my coffee.
Alright, you sit down in one of the dining room table chairs. And you start looking around the room. I'll give you a chance to see if you notice anything. I'll give you 2 dice.
Oh, here goes again. Nope.
This is going great, guys.
The dice are like, nope, he's not noticing jack.
Yep.
Wow, even I rolled better.
Yeah, your guy was doing great.
The last one's the rolls at least.
So there's nothing wrong with this situation.
Yeah.
You're
Nothing
just
out of the ordinary.
Yeah, you're just sort of sitting there, enjoying your coffee, and I'll get you to roll 2 more to see if you notice the actual thing that happens next.
1!
Okay, you notice something. You see, like, one of the chairs you had pulled out to climb up onto the table to fix the light, and you left it pulled out. You sat in a different chair for one reason or another. You see that chair back into the table perfectly.
So I just shake my head and just grab my flashlight, fold my belt, and go like, am I imagining things? Just flashing it on to see if I'm not going crazy.
Alright, so you walk towards the chair, slowly and cautiously, in case there's like a rat or something. That rats tend to jump and bite sometimes, if they're spooked. So you cautiously, I mean, you've opened more than your fair share of walls and found more than your fair share of rodent nests, so you're aware that certain things like that can happen. You shine the flashlight in the area underneath the table that's being shadowed. The table is shadowing from the light to see if you can see anything. Nothing is there. You feel something. You feel the hairs on the back of your neck stand up slightly. It's almost as if there's a presence of someone else in the room. I need you to roll an awareness.
Awareness. Oh, 1 dice.
I got 3.
Nope.
You turn around. You see nobody there. You turn back. Nobody there. You examine even the darker corners with your flashlight. Nobody there. So you slightly dismiss it.
Yeah, if I'm that agitated, then I would have, reached for my firearm, because, might be a burglar or something.
Okay. Well, you don't see anything or hear anything. So, you do have one hand on your hip holster, just in case.
Could I call out for the butler's name, like Tony or Anthony? You there?
Sure, we'll go with Anthony. Because Tony was the guy at the other place. But that's okay. You would know the guy's name. That's fine.
Mm-hmm.
So, you call out for him. You hear footsteps on the upper floor. And you almost instinctively draw your weapon and point it up at the ceiling. And then you realize probably shooting the ceiling is not the best idea, regardless of what's up there. So
Yeah. Might be the old lady.
You point the gun back down, but you also have like a stance that you've practiced a little bit, where you have the flashlight right next to where you point the gun. You know how they do in action movies?
Just like this.
Mm-hmm.
Gun in the one hand, flashlight in the other.
Mm-hmm.
That's actually a legitimate technique they actually use.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. You practice this, so you do it. You point around. Nothing. Nothing is in this room. Or at least nothing you can see.
Safety on, of course, if I don't see anything.
Okay.
Always important to put safety on.
You even check the place where the chair moved again. There's not even, like, evidence of a mouse or anything, like little paw prints in the carpet or anything of that nature.
Yeah, so I called one more time while heading towards the door.
Alright. You call out again. You head towards the door. I need you to roll 2 more dice again.
1 success.
Okay. That's good. So, you hear a woman's voice saying, "Are you quite sure?" "Yes, I am well aware of what he..." "So you deem it fit?" "All right. Thank you for granting my request. If this is the only way, goodbye." You hear one of those classic old phones that has the huge receiver that goes on the little 2 grips on the top that has the rotary on top of it.
Yeah.
You hear that hang up.
Must be some kind of business call. I can assume what I want, but I assume that.
You as a player might have an idea of what's going on.
Yeah. In character, no clue.
So, you hear footsteps again upstairs.
Just follow it along and just. Well.
So you're at the doorway. So the layout of this particular area is you're in the dining room. There's a staircase right next to the entrance to the dining room that leads upstairs. There's a door that leads to other rooms. There's doors that lead to other rooms downstairs. And there's the main entrance just off of the... it's a huge foyer type area that has a bunch of doors that come off of it.
Yeah.
And you can exit this room. The door is still open.
So I'm currently at the... Well, if I open the door, I'm in the hallway, so to say.
You're in the foyer, which is the main...
foyer.
It's like a big hall-like area.
Yes, so go to the foyer and then call out for Anthony again to see if he's around, or just is like, oh, I totally forgot about him.
Perhaps that might be what's happening. Although it seems a little suspicious if it's just him forgetting. But either way. You go out into the hall. There's a staircase to your right, and the main entrance is to your left. There are some other doors to your left as well, and in front of you. To some other rooms, some of which you know about. One's a sitting room, that sort of thing.
holster my firearm. Don't want to seem like I am just creeping around, making sure I'm not getting busted or anything.
Okay. There is a staircase to your left, as I said.
Mm-hmm.
You can look wherever you wish.
And to the right is the way towards the main entrance.
Mm-hmm. I think I got those reversed at some point, but either way, it's fine for now.
Yeah.
One direction, there's the staircase, and the other direction, there's the main entrance.
Alright, just check into the, dining room it was that I came from.
Yep.
That I have everything, that I didn't forget anything, and then...
well, you were a little spooked, so you left, like, your repair kit and stuff in there. But otherwise, everything that you had on yourself is on you.
Yeah, so I check just to make sure that I have everything, and then oh yeah, you've got that. So go over to grab it.
do you walk back into the room?
I do walk back into the room.
Okay. So you hear some footsteps on the staircase coming down. By the way, there are lights on in here, like in this building. It's not like suddenly the lights went out and it was pitch black. It's completely lit up. There's lights on all over the place.
Yeah, kind of like, here you have in a room. There are dark corners.
Yeah. It's just that, it's kind of like the Resident Evil mansion, if you can picture that.
Mm-hmm.
There's still lights everywhere, but it still seems kind of spooky with what's going on.
Yeah, I just head over to my tools, aware that, the missus might be just coming downstairs, walking past the dining room, or whatever.
Alright. You hear some footsteps coming down the stairs.
Mm-hmm.
Do you look at the door when the footsteps would be about to get to the door?
No, I just, I'm just like, she would be quite a settled, or I'm just focused on my tools that I'm getting, and Anthony might be coming any moment. Who knows? I don't know. Who knows?
Alright, so you pick up your tools. You have your tools in your inventory. As in on your person.
Yeah. Then I turn around to the door. Oh boy, what did I see?
You see the tail end of what looks like a very fancy nightgown just flutter by the door. As if somebody was walking.
Yeah. So I just say, the missus. Anthony must be close by then.
Alright, what do you do?
I hope. I just, call out to the missus and tell her if she has seen Anthony anywhere, because I haven't seen him anywhere for the past how long? 9? 12? 15 minutes?
Somewhere around there. Your character hasn't been keeping real-time track of time.
Yeah.
Since that weird chair moving thing.
Yeah, and then I tell her that the light is fixed, it just wasn't screwed in all too well.
She goes, "Oh, you're so intelligent, aren't you?"
I want to say that it just this just gets me a bit of guard, wait, this is not her usual tone of voice.
You're just so intelligent. And this is where, in the video game, the weird organ music would start playing.
Gosh. Well, just doing my job, ma'am, that's all.
Yes. That is what I like so much about you. You see part of the nightgown begin to peek around the door frame. You can see a very slender looking female.
Well, Well, Anthony did tell me that you would be, well, not in your best condition, not to offend you, of course, but he told me to just, well,
don't
leave you
worry
be, of
about
course.
that anymore. You'll be seeing a lot more of me. The rest of her starts to come around the corner. You look at this woman's face, because her face is uncovered. But she has like a old-fashioned, like Victorian era type nightgown on. Her face looks like someone, you know those, those
I
angler,
know
like,
those.
those anglerfish with the
Yes.
weird curved teeth that stick out of their mouths?
Mm-hmm.
She has that on her mouth, as well as her eyes are super large and don't even have lids on them, it looks like. As she walks daintily into the room.
Yeah, just how she talks to me was like, red flags, red flags, red flags, reach for gun.
She's walking towards you daintily.
Just trying to keep my distance, like, something is off and I'm not trusting it.
What? You don't like how I look? As she very slowly is walking towards you.
Just trying to keep the distance, well, at the same length. Just not trying to give ground or let her gain ground.
Okay, that happens.
Just Anthony telling me, well, that he usually takes care of everything.
Okay. She continues moving forward. What? Do I look ugly for my age?
Well, no, just things
Her skin isn't like super wrinkled or anything. She actually looks like maybe even younger than you are. In that sense. But she has like this terrifying face.
Yeah, just saying, well, things don't seem to add up tonight.
No, I don't think they would. She continues walking towards you. You start to back up to where that chair was that you pulled out. The chair pulls itself out and gets in your way, stopping you from backing up without making it obvious that you're trying to run away. So what do you want to do?
Can I push the chair back?
Yeah, you can push it back into place.
Well, something prevent.
You can push it back into place, but what I'll say is then it will be obvious that you weren't just absent-mindedly backing away. It'll make it obvious that you were obviously trying to flee at that point. So it's up to you what you want to do. She's only very slowly moving towards you.
Yeah, I just said, well, the job is all done, that's all. And I was waiting for Anthony to come back, tell him the job was done and what was, well, wrong. That perhaps he should, well, watch how we turns the lights into the sockets next time to make sure that they're secured.
She goes, No. It seems that you misunderstand. I brought you here because I wanted you to be rewarded. As she moves in uncomfortably close unless if you move the chair to back up.
Yeah, I moved the chair to back up.
Alright, as you push the chair in, she moves unnaturally quick and she's standing right next to you. Like, not even like a foot apart. Like, if her feet were in the right position, she would be standing on your feet. is how close she is.
That's the very human nature to do things that there's a very human nature of fight and flight.
So which do you do?
I have a steel. I don't know what material it would be made of in that time, but steel flashlight in my hand.
Yeah, that's fine. You can have a steel one, because you need something durable in case something heavy falls on it.
Yeah, or, well, the area's, well, wet or whatever.
Yeah, so you need something sturdy.
And someone just approached me within, well, an impossible time frame, so that usually the brain connects it with an attack.
Yeah, so in order to close that distance, she would have had to, like, go from barely not moving to full sprint and then barely not moving again. Which seems slightly unnatural.
Yeah, the brain usually reacts then in either fight or flight.
Yes, so what are you doing?
Fight.
Alright.
Just out of pure animalistic reaction.
Alright,
and I have no dice in melee! I have no dice in melee.
Okay, so if you have 0 dice, what that means is you swing and it comes into contact with her, but she just sort of like takes the blow, and then she just glances at you, her eyes looking hungry as she begins to open her mouth, and the sharp teeth begin to curl forward towards you. As you've seen that your blow did nothing.
Yeah. How much seconds did you say I have in a turn? 3?
How many what, sorry?
Seconds in a turn.
Yeah, 3 seconds.
3 seconds? We're going at superhuman speed, ladies and gentlemen, because I don't see someone just within 3 seconds pulling out their gun and be ready to fire from safety.
But yeah, this is supposed to be vampire speed, so yes. But you can try.
I'm not dead yet. Yeah, certainly can. So, what do I roll?
You can just draw your weapon. Drawing your weapon is nothing. It's the shooting part. That's what's important.
Yeah,
so I'll give you 2 dice for shooting. If you want to try to shoot her.
Does that also include dexterity, or?
Yeah, it's because you don't have your vampire dexterity yet.
Okay. You're so shit. Says the guy with 1 dex.
Okay.
Yeah, you're just a dude.
Okay, the 2 dice.
When she turns you, then you start getting your powers.
Okay, here goes the 2
dice. Who's going to turn you.
Seems like it.
Alright, you manage to get your gun up towards her, but her teeth are so long that she just sort of turns her head to the side and it bats the front of the gun away, and you fire into the wall. And she says, "Now you'll have to replace that," as she just grabs onto you and sinks her weird teeth into your neck. You fall unconscious after a moment of bliss. The moment of bliss is uncontrollable. It's part of the kiss, which is what she used to incapacitate you. You wake up at some point later. So this is where you need to decide what your deformity is as a Nosferatu. You don't necessarily have to have the dude from the movie Nosferatu looks, but you have some sort of deformity that makes you obvious that you're a strange creature.
Well, I certainly want to do that, but I have to cut short since, well, it's literally 12 o'clock. I can be back in about 15-ish minutes, but yeah. I think that's
okay. Let's get you awake, and then we'll go from there next time.
Okay.
So, what is your deformity?
I haven't thought of that one. That's the problem.
Yeah, it can be anything from like huge pustules on your face to like your skin sheds like a snake. So then every once in a while you have to like peel your skin. It can be like the large teeth or eyes, or it's usually a thing in the face, something that's obvious.
To be fair, the guy from Nosferatu doesn't look too bad.
Ears?
He doesn't look too bad, actually.
Yeah, it's a very obvious deformity.
Yeah.
Ears?
Okay, you can have something wrong with your ears. What do you want wrong with your ears?
Elves have point ears, but these are point.
Super pointy.
So like, a foot
Really?
long pointed ears.
Yeah, but really got to go around because people are yelling at me.
Okay, that's fine. We'll pick up later.
Okay, so see ya.
See ya.